Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, depending on your time zone, and welcome to Moral Compass 101. A quick recap of our last topic, where I said that time is a free and a variable equity for human equality, meaning that we all get 24 hours in a day. The difference between success and failure is how good you spend your 24 hours. Having said that, I'll please request you to comment so that we can interact, to subscribe so that we can get edified together, and to like and share so that we can disseminate knowledge. Uh, our today's topic is an intriguing topic, and that's why I'll start by saying, times without number, we claim that we are free, while indeed the most imperative part that determines our progress have hitherto not been free. This part is our mind. Thus, our topic today, who owns your mind? Without any iota of doubt, today's topic will open a Pandora's box on the complexity and pervasivity of societal conditioning and stratification as a subtle aspect of social norms and mental slavery, which the society's elite, dynasties, and the ruling tyrants adopt and unjustifiably impose them on us. Through their biased mindset of supremacy, they have the audacity to lecture us on how we must feel good about the bad things they impose on us. Two words to note there: societal conditioning and societal stratification. So, what is societal conditioning or social conditioning? Social conditioning is the process where people are shaped by the society on how they think, how they feel, and how they behave in a way that conforms to the society norms, or in a way that the society considers normal and or acceptable. The question therein is, who determines what is normal and what's not? The second term, social stratification. This is a system of ranking people in a criteria of their socio-economic status. Indeed, we can say that it's a biased system because it gives or it categorizes people in a hierarchy of three clusters. The upper cluster, which consists of the elites and the dynasties and occupies 10%. The second class are the precarians. These are the middle class, which occupy 35%. Yes, they are employed, but their employment and their income is insecure. And the third cluster, which is at the bottom of the pyramid, are the social benefit recipients who depend on the bursaries and the other social benefits that comes either from the ruling elites or the middle class people. So uh, when did this issue of mental slavery begin, or how long has mental slavery been in existence? The people who think that mental slavery is a medieval crisis, mental slavery is indeed an ancient catastrophe with a generational contingency, hence the pervasiveness in the modern world. This means that it has been there since the ancient times, and it has been a generational issue, and that's why to this day we feel or we experience mental slavery. To substantiate my claim, I've done a scriptural case study from the book of 1 Samuel, chapter number 13 and verses 19 through 21. And this is what the Bible says. And no blacksmith could be found in the entire land of Israel, because the Philistines had said, the Hebrews must not be allowed to make swords and spears. Therefore, all the Israelites would go down to the Philistine land to sharpen their plowshares, mattocks, axes, and shields. The charge was 2 days for sharpening a plow or a mattock, a third of a shekel for sharpening a fork or an axe, and repointing an ox ground. This indeed depicts an ancient times mental slavery, where the Israelites had to depend on the Philistines on their tools of trade or their tools of cultivation. And this is prevalent to this day, that a greater percentage of people depends on the smaller percentage for their daily survival. While these scriptures points us to a single instant of the ancient times mental slavery, hitherto mental slavery is still alive and well, and more than ever before prevalent in the modern society. The fact that a greater percentage of people depend on self-proclaimed elites for their daily livelihood is a clear depiction of rampant mental slavery allowed the globe. Unfortunately, the immense but obscure social conditioning and social stratifications, mental slavery has been made a non-issue, and we are expected to conform to the prevalent societal norms unquestionably. This is a very subtle process that, times you don't even realize it's happening. The conditioning of our mind that brings mental slavery, it happens progressively but very subtle, and we don't even have the guts or the energy to question. Regrettably, if you cannot produce your necessities, especially the bare minimums, namely food, shelter, and clothing, plus education and healthcare, and hence you must depend on others for your survival, you have already traveled too far along the disconsolate road of mental slavery. You may argue it otherwise, but a country that cannot feed her population is far from realizing her freedom. Remember, we are yearning for self-determination, which is the freedom to make our own choices and to follow those initiatives. But if our minds are still constrained, we cannot have the freedom to do so. In the very words of Anne Eleanor Roosevelt, No one can make you feel inferior without your consent. Therefore, a self-defeating mindset is your consent that allows someone to own your mind, resorting to mental slavery and subjugation to subservience, inferiority complex, and self-abasement, where self-aggrandized persons rule over your life. See, the gateway to mental slavery is your self-defeating mindset. Identity crisis is the major onset of a self-defeating mindset whose only panacea is finding your purpose in life. Unlike imprisonment, discharge, that's a determinant of litigations and judicial ruling, mental slavery is a personal responsibility and a self-determination that unfetters a person from mediocrity and leads them to a paradigm shift for excellence. That, in case somebody is in prison, a ruling has to be external for him or her, to be released. It's a litigation process that is ruled by a judge. But mental slavery is your personal responsibility. It's a determination, it's a self determination that you will free yourself from the constraints of social norms, from the naysayers that you who determines what you can do and what you cannot do. In his full knowledge of my cognitive school of thought, Bob Marley, in his 1980 solo acoustic reggae song, namely Redemption Song, earnestly implored his fellow countrymen and women to emancipate themselves from mental slavery. He goes ahead to disclose a bitter truth that none but ourselves can free our minds. It's your self-responsibility to free your mind. Yes, there are some constraints, social norms, but you have to rise above those social norms. Okay, none but ourselves can free our minds. Therefore, I say, truth is a bitter pill that does not have a compounding alternative. So that bitter truth that Bob Marley alluded, that none but ourselves can free us from mental slavery, is a bitter truth, and that bitter truth does not need come with any compounding alternative. We have to swallow it. While finding and pursuing your purpose in life is a constitutive and substantive quintessential personal empowerment initiative, and an aspect of existentialism and self-identity, plus a requisite for birthright entitlement to happiness and fulfillment. Both happiness and fulfillment are not a reward for conformity to societal norms and stratifications, but a celebration for a purpose-driven life and your fulfilled purpose. Let me explain that. That finding and pursuing your purpose, it's your personal initiative. It's something that you have to do. But as you do it, it will bring a fulfillment. And that fulfillment and that plus happiness is something that you are entitled. It's your birthright entitlement. That's the only thing that you're entitled in this world. But how you get it is upon you to fight and pursue your purpose. Because happiness and fulfillment are not a reward that's given after conforming to society norms. No, they are a reward that you give to yourself for after finding and pursuing your purpose. In other words, by virtue of being an objective, defined reason for your existence, that's purpose, finding and pursuing your purpose renders you a non-negotiable birthright prerogative to both happiness and fulfillment. Just like I explained, your happiness, your fulfillment comes from that birthright entitlement of fighting and diligently pursuing your purpose. Just like dopamine hormone effects on your body, the dopamine effect, dopamine hormone is the all-time feel-good hormone. Uh, Finding and pursuit of purpose are an all-time feel-good occurrences. The same effect you get from dopamine, that all-time feel-good hormone is the same feel-good occurrence or experience you get after finding and diligently pursuing your purpose. As a constructive and substantive quintessential personal entitlement initiative, finding and pursuing your purpose instigates responsibility and accountability, plus unabated merit of self-control through self-discipline and self-sacrifice that renders, effectuates, and sustains resilience, perfects, perfects both autonomy and utilization of time and money, and subsequently refrains you from an indoctrination, namely mental slavery. I'll explain that. We have just agreed that it is your personal responsibility to entangle you from this aspect of self-defeating mindset. After doing that, your mind will be free to determine your purpose, to find your purpose, to pursue your purpose. But you have to observe the rule of finding or of pursuing your purpose, which that's where self-control comes in. And self-control works through self-discipline and self-sacrifice. So this statement says that this instigates, the pursuit, the finding and the pursuit of purpose gives or enforces, maintains, and gives the ability to withstand difficulties, that's resilience, makes your freedom and the use of time and money a remarkable or an outstanding experience. Well, you're not constrained, your minds are not constrained, you shall enjoy the freedom, to exercise your purpose in life without any constraints. And this will perfect that freedom, and the utilization, how you utilize your time and money. And subsequently, it will refrain or pull you away from the indoctrination of mental slavery. Contrary, failure to find and to pursue your purpose, or relinquishing your purpose altogether, subjects you to a self-defeating and a mediocre mindset where you are prone to normalization and societal conditioning, plus any other form of external control that's meted on you through your already self-defeat mindset. But if you do it otherwise, if you don't fight and pursue your purpose, you are prone to uh, being to conforming to the society norms, or any other external uh, control that comes your way. So, control isn't necessarily in what you are told to believe. It's primarily in what you are never allowed to question. This is my closing statement, that control is not necessarily in what you are told to believe, but it's primarily in what you are never allowed to question. So, as we move along this trajectory of life, you have a responsibility and a moral authority to question social conditionings, social stratifications that bring about imposed normalization and standardization in your life. And that's the only way you shall free yourself from mental slavery. This is a very long topic, and this is the first segment or the first part of this topic. God willing, we shall continue with this topic in our next video. But until then, please stay safe. Blessings and shalom.